Welcome to the Masters in Motion podcast, where we empower Masters athletes to reach their full potential. Join us as we delve into the world of CrossFit and showcase the strength, resilience, and determination of Masters athletes because we dig this sport. I'm Jason Grubb with my co-host, Rick Stevenson. This is episode 42. Hey, Rick, how are you doing so far on this Thanksgiving week?
Thanksgiving week? Oh, boy, I can't say Thanksgiving Eve. It's close, but we're making our way through. We're getting there.
You guys doing Thanksgiving at home, or are you traveling? People, how's all that working for you this year?
We are traveling and not actually having a Thanksgiving meal till Saturday,
Nice.
just because of some work schedules.
Yep.
So Thursday is going to be an unusually quiet, non-Thanksgiving food day with a lot of football mixed in. Generally lazy, and I hope the weather's good because that'll involve a long dog walk or something like that if I don't run in the morning first. But
Yep.
yeah, Saturday, and it's about 2 miles down the road, 3 miles down the road. So just do a bunch of prep work here after training and load up the car and head down the road. How about you
Sounds
guys
good.
in your new house?
In the new house, it will be a low key, I think just 4 of us for Thanksgiving this year. I went to the store today. I asked how I could help for Thanksgiving. And my wife said, if you could pop over to Sprouts to see if they have any free range organic turkeys. That's kind of her thing. And that's great. So I went to see if they had a turkey named Kevin over at the Sprouts. And
Yeah.
I was so lucky. I found the last it was never frozen, free range, organic. It's the happiest turkey, ever killed for Thanksgiving. And what was amazing about
Correct.
it, actually, so I grabbed
Absolutely.
that, I grabbed some sausage and took that to the register. And as I'm checking out, she had a hard time scanning the turkey. I didn't really think anything of it. I paid, I got up to the car, and I realized that the bill was like $30. And I was like, that doesn't seem right. It seems a little light, little light on this very, very nice turkey. And so I looked, and she typed in for the price how many pounds the turkey was, not the actual price of the turkey. So she typed in $24.
Oh, no.
So it's a 24-pound turkey, and it's $4.99 a pound. But she charged me $24.
Oh.
I discovered it as I was already at the car. I was pretty worn out from training, so I just figured, I'm already here. I should probably just get out of here. So a
Pretty
little
sure
blessing.
Sprouts' accounting department doesn't listen to this podcast, or they become.
Sorry, guys. Hey, it says $24.99 or 24 something, and she charged me the weight of the bird. So that's great. I mean, I'm excited. I love a good turkey. I got some brine.
You know what? That's a bonus. Yep. Are you dry brine?
Wet. No, not dry brine. We'll wet brine overnight on Wednesday into Thursday. And on Thursday, I'm going to paint the garage. That's my thing. I just have this project I want to do because I'll feel less stress about work. I'm not training Thursday. Actually, I'm going to go swim and then I'll be back.
Sure.
But I'm going to paint the garage so that I can start setting up CrossFit equipment in the garage. Right now, I have everything in the center of the garage so that I can paint and then start putting things up, like put my weights up on the wall, my pull-up bar, hang rings from the 14-foot ceiling.
Yep.
Very exciting times coming.
Excellent.
And I want the garage to look good. So it needs a good coat of, I was thinking kind of a darkish gray paint. It's going to look good. It's going to be great for videos. And then we're going to eat a delicious, very inexpensive turkey.
Perfect.
Hopefully karma doesn't bite us on that one. Hopefully it's a good, healthy turkey.
Yeah. I trust her preparing it because we don't want it to turn out to be the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation turkey.
Yeah, we're not going to overcook that guy.
There's
definitely
reference number one from that movie.
For the next 4 weeks, we can reference that movie limitless times. I think if y'all that listen want to have a running count, I'll just say that we'll be liberal with our use of Christmas Vacation quotes. I think it's fair.
It has to. You have to pull it out and start watching it now. Not pull it out, but pull it up on streaming.
Oh, heck yeah.
You have to start watching it this week. This is the official start. So anytime before is probably a little too early, but I'd say this week, and you want to get a good couple of quotes in before everybody uses them again ahead of your friends. So it's important. Got to do your homework every year.
Yeah, got to get the refresher.
I think the kids, my daughter said something like, she goes, "What are you, Clark Griswold?" last night when I was adjusting the lights outside. And so that was her reference already. So we're well on our way.
Yep. Yeah.
I digress.
I was cleaning up, whenever I clean up and my hands get sticky, the obvious phrase is, A lot of
A lot of
sap,
sap.
a
A
lot of
lot of
sap,
sap.
little thick, a lot of
A
sap.
lot of sap in there. We're on a roll.
Already killing it. That's a
Don't
wrap,
use them
guys.
all.
We've just
We
covered
need them for the
everything.
next couple of weeks. Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy your holiday drive.
Well, we've got some news. We didn't cover it last week because we thought that we wanted to give the maximum amount of time that we could have with Dr. Justine from Thirdsy. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, I think for me, for both of us, I think it was really eye-opening on just the topic of sleep, how to have healthy sleep, nurture healthy sleep, what's wrong with melatonin, what's wrong with other things, what works well. It was really fun and really eye-opening. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, take a listen. And now we wanted to talk about, we've got a new sort of calendar, or the calendar is out and the requirements out for the CrossFit Games next year. Yeah. Tell us, what are the details? Let's just go over it real quick.
Briefly, we know it's been covered a lot in the CrossFit media space. It's been covered on a lot of articles, a lot of podcasts, but specifically, I think what they've tried to, generally, I should say, what they've tried to do is put all of them together: teenagers, masters, adaptive, and the individuals and teams, and kind of walk through it. And after, 20 minutes, you're still bouncing back and forth between, okay, what's our part again? What are our months? So, we're only going to, again, staying true to what you and I want to talk about always, is what impacts the Masters community. It's pretty simple from a layout sounding like last year: the Open, and we'll go over the details, quarterfinals, semifinals, and a final culminating event, which they are calling, it's interesting. In their document, I saw that the Masters CrossFit Games by Legends. We'll see if that name holds, but they needed to call it something when they were making the announcement. So, Open, quarters, semis, and the games. Does that sound familiar? Sure does.
Yep.
There are specifics. The Open, typical 3 weeks. It's going to start, let's make sure, registration for the Open starts January 9th. Okay, so not that many days away. Which is my birthday also. I will be registering for the Open on my birthday. I will not miss that. 3-week Open beginning February 29th. February is a leap year. I know that was pointed out by Boz on one of his podcasts. So 24.1 is released on February 29th. And then the 3-week Open, your scores are due March 18th. So you can think of our season as the month of March is the Open. Mm-hmm. Moving on to quarterfinals, here's where it'll be interesting to see what the uptake will be. They're going to take 25% instead of 10% into quarterfinals, a change from last year. That's going to be for individuals. It's going to be for teenagers, certainly for age groups as well. So 25% in each age category are going to be eligible to sign up for and participate, if they so choose, in quarterfinals. Quarterfinals you're going to think of as the month of April. Okay, so March is the Open, April are quarterfinals. The quarterfinal registration, you can't sign up for that until April 1st. So wait, calendar hits, it's April Fool's, not a joke, pay your money, probably going to be $50. I don't think it's been released yet. And then our age group quarterfinals are actually going to be the same week as the elites. So it's not going to be last year's crazy schedule, which I think drove affiliate owners kind of nutty. I know it did ours, having to worry about teams, elites, and age groups. We're going to go, age group quarterfinals are going to go April 17th through the 22nd. Longer window, have no idea on the number of tests. And also what we have heard through a couple of questions answered, it doesn't sound like there'll be competition windows like you and I are used to. Workouts 1 and 2, you have 24 hours, you have to put the score in, and that's it. And then the next 24-hour window opens. It just sounds from these interviews, you have roughly 5 days to do how many ever they release. So quarterfinals are April. Then moving on to, here's another change. We all had to work super hard last year to go from quarterfinals down to semifinals, where they only took 30 athletes per age group. And the age groups are staying the same. I should have said that at the beginning. Sure. Starting at age 35, moving up to 65 plus. So the next and third and final month of this qualification process is the month of May. Age group quarterfinals, after you have received an invite it changes to the top 200. So it's back to a number that we're familiar with, the old AGOQ. 200 athletes move from quarterfinals to semifinals in each age group. And from that 200, they'll take, after the semifinals are done on May 8th through the 13th, same 5-day window. Don't know the specifics yet, but at least you can be assured of having an extra day than we did last year. To the Masters CrossFit Games by Legends, which they think will be in August. Details to follow. And what was encouraging, we know, were how many participants they'll be taking to these final games in each of the age groups. The first three, from 35 to 49, will be 40 men and 40 women. That's big per age group. 50 to 54 and 55 to 59 will be taking 30 men and 30 women, 3 times what they took last year. That's important.
Right. It's huge.
And then the upper 2 age groups, 60 to 64 and 65 plus, are going to take 20 each. So as we know, and you and I went over the numbers last year, the participation numbers go down as the age groups go up. They'll still have more than enough representation at the final games, at the site and location to be determined. So March is the open. April are quarterfinals, expanded quarterfinals. May is semifinals, expanded semifinals. And August, we believe, will be the games. And I'm using air quotes because we don't know what we're calling it. All of these questions, and I'm going to turn it back to you for your thoughts, we're recording this now. I think they said the rule book is going to be released the first week of December, which they think will have more answers and more specifics to the questions, drug testing, just all the details that we like to comb through, especially for age groups. That's great because you and I are going to be a little busy the first week of December or first few days of December at Legends. So if that occurs, there's going to be plenty to dissect, and we'll be able to pepper Joe and Bob with a million questions, which is I'm sure what they want to deal with that week.
In person, we'll tackle them and get them on.
That's in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, I think
we'll follow them around. You can't.
When we look at the calendar, so the Open ends March 18th, scores are submitted. Practically, 1 month later, we start quarterfinals on the 17th of 17th of April. So we finish that on the 22nd, and then we basically have 2 full weeks between quarterfinals and semifinals. It's 2 weeks in like 2 days. It's actually pretty tight between quarterfinals and semifinals.
Right.
So I like that. I think it'll be challenging because oftentimes I think we try to peak at semifinals, but we also have to be almost peaked at quarterfinals to make sure we qualify for semifinals. So there's a little bit of a roller coaster ride for us there. And I imagine that, after May 12th, it'll be time to take a week off and allow our bodies to heal. Because I know that if they do release, if they do give us that traditional style of releasing quarterfinals or semifinals, all of the workouts in one day, let's say call it that Wednesday, and we have the weekend to complete these 5, 6, however many tests. If you're competitive, we're probably going to repeat some of those tests. We're probably going to leave no stone unturned. And that tends to be a very stressful couple of days, both mentally and on our bodies. So it will be definitely time to relax. I think the last time that we had an opportunity to do all of the events without some sort of time constraint built into it, I'm pretty sure I retested everything. I know in 2018 and 2019, I think I did them all twice in order to ensure I qualified for the games because I'm a crazy person. By the time we were in 2021, 22, and 23, we had some time.
Yeah. Well, 2021, you would have had AGOQ. That was the last year of AGOQ. Okay. So I'm sure you did them. I'm sure you did them multiple times.
I'm sure I did. I remember that year. Yes, I had, it was the front squat year. I made a mistake.
4 rep front squat.
Yeah.
75 power cleans, 300 double unders.
Yeah, I remember all that. Yep. That was dirty, really dirty stuff.
Overhead squats and burpee box jumps overs. And there was all kinds of craziness.
Yeah, it was crazy.
GHDs, rope climbs, and pistols.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it was awesome. I enjoyed that. I guess so. I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be fun as well that we're getting the workouts released the same time as the individuals. So these will be big. Quarterfinals will be a really big weekend with all of everyone doing quarterfinals that weekend. Our semifinals and age group semifinals is on a certain weekend in May. They'll have in-person semifinals for the individual athletes, which is fine. That's totally cool. Right. But I think that's fun. there's been some controversy around the amount of people that qualify for quarterfinals at 25% instead of 10%, and then semifinals being 200 people instead of the 30, which we had over the past couple of years. I have some thoughts on that. Do you have some opinions on that? You've had some time to marinate on that. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, the uptake is not going to be as much as we fear. It never is. Will it be many significantly more people? Yes. But last year, it wasn't anywhere near 10%, if I'm correct.
Who actually competed?
And so who actually competed, who paid their money and submitted all of the scores. It gets really, really watered down. And then for the AGOQ, I just go back and look at some of the numbers. If you can scroll back through the years, anywhere from about 160 to maybe 175 or so, maybe it's 150 to 175 would actually put in all 5 scores. So what's that percentage out of 200?
Sure.
It's just not, it's great to know that you've made that cut. Injuries, vacations, work, lack of interest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to qualify. I've got something else going on. I'm just not going to do it. I mean, that kind of thing comes up. So you just don't have 100% uptake on that. So again, the internet people love to complain and moan about everything. It is what it is. It's going to be, I think the most important thing was the streamlining of the schedule to help affiliate owners. I'm not an affiliate owner, but I could see how much it would wear on ours just trying to juggle helping me, helping others in our gym, running classes. And we're very blessed to have some extra space, but a lot of places don't. So you have to accommodate schedules to not tick off your regular members, but not tick off your top athletes that need floor space for, handstand walks, shuttle runs, cameras way back to incorporate rope climbs and things like that, crazy one-off stuff.
Well,
so
and another
I don't have a problem with the expanded field.
Yeah.
But
one of the things you and I will do as we approach quarterfinals and semifinals is we'll review all of the procedures that need to be in place to make sure that you have quality videos, you've got quality submissions. If you're going to be aiming to qualify through those events, we'll go over those things again, like having redundant cameras, how to set up a space, how to plan ahead. That's something that you and I have plenty of experience with. So we'll help all of those people that are sort of new to this, because there's going to be a larger amount that do get a chance to do quarterfinals.
That's a good point.
I'm a big fan of expanding the opportunity for people to be tested. I think for me, one of the things that helped it keeps me engaged in this sport, keeps me engaged in this lifestyle, is the thrill of competition. And we don't get to do it that much. And we actually shouldn't do it that much. I mean, we shouldn't be competing 7-8 times a year. It's just too much. So if we do get that opportunity in our qualification season to test ourselves, or for those that don't have a lot of experience being tested, to step up to the plate and take a swing at it, this is a great opportunity for that. And it helps bring some of those higher skill tests into the CrossFit gym and to the individuals that have the opportunity to try it out. Like, maybe we'll see handstand walk. We've seen a lot of higher skills in the open, but we generally see some heavier and even higher skills in quarterfinals and semifinals. It just creates more opportunity for people to experience that. And I loved to do it before I qualified for the games. I loved trying to make it to the games. I loved the AGOQ, and I often, a 3 years that I did it and I didn't qualify for the games, it let me know, like, hey, I'm not there yet. I'm not even in the ballpark yet. I've got to get better at this, and this. So those are always great tests. And so the more people that can get involved in that, the better. And, I think for us as a podcast, that it expands our ability to help these guys try something new. I think that's, you and I both love that kind of stuff. So anyway, I think the controversies around CrossFit just trying to grab a bunch of extra money, I just don't see that as the primary driver for this. And like you said, maybe they make a little extra because of the uptick, but it does get watered down. Not everybody's paying for semifinals. Not all 25% is going to actually sign up for quarterfinals. So, it is what it is.
No. And they're a business. I keep getting reminded this. They're a business. If it helps them bring in some more revenue and you feel like you're getting something for your money, that's the other thing, is the programming has to be done in a not watered down, but in a smart way, to not say, okay, quarterfinal test number 1, we're going to start with, 5 rounds of 10 muscle ups or something like that, starting, something crazy that would just tick off everybody. Like, why did I just drop X amount of dollars on this?
Sure.
So again, good luck to the programming group led by Adrian. He's got to thread the needle. I think that's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah. He's
got to make it inclusive for many more participants, but maybe, and they've talked about it in some of the programming ones, like the skills get progressively higher after you get through time gates, or the weights increase, something like that.
Yeah.
Prove your strength, earn your strength, not just do it on a 1 rep max, do it after a workout. Just a million ways to do this, but it's going to require some intelligent programming. That goes without saying.
Yeah. Well, we'll get Boz on here too to explain all of the programming when those get released. We'll get him on, and Boz, what were you thinking? We'll be able to ask him the hard questions when that comes up again.
Yeah. Well, let me say the other thing I was going to say is there was a note that floor plans might be a little more relaxed this year, and I know that's floated around as well, and I love that. And they say that they made them as complex as they did out of safety because they saw what we didn't, and they saw videos of, they called it sketchy behavior. Okay. The rower right underneath the rings, and that just doesn't make sense. So if you can relax the floor plans to the point where it's not so onerous on the affiliate owner, I think that's another goal of theirs. That's going to be tricky too.
Yes.
It'll save in buying rolls and rolls of tape. So we'll see where this lands. But the intelligence of the programming, and then some of the relaxing of the floor plan, the onerous floor plans that we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Maybe we're in for a good experience. Certainly hoping.
Hey, I'm optimistic. I think that I watched Dave Castro. I watch his weeks in review, and I love that he does that. I love that it's fairly unscripted, and he just kind of answers off the cuff. Whenever I get to hear from his perspective, and he's not always perfect. I mean, there's been times when I actually left a comment on there because he wasn't correct about something, and he corrects himself. He's got no ego. He's fine. Like but what I do like is he'll try to clear the air. And every time I hear him, I get a sense of his authenticity, of his love for the sport, of his desire to make this a great experience as the in his role. And I trust him quite a bit, honestly. We'll just keep going with that. Is that I trust him. I trust the process.
Right.
Again, there's always things in CrossFit where at first glance it just feels, maybe dirty or maybe corporate or whatever. And I think sometimes our attitudes get a little bit tarnished by some of the first responders online that make a lot of noise about things before more details come out.
Sure.
So we get painted. We see through darker colored glasses, I guess, for the lack of better words, as opposed to just. Oftentimes when I talk to you about things, you always take the attitude, hey, we'll just wait and see. Let's just wait and see how this works out.
Right.
And so I lean into you on that, and that's nice. And I trust that it's going to be a good season. Going back to the fact that there's going to be 40 competitors in the majority of the Masters age groups, 30 in that 55 plus.
That's crazy.
20 each in the 60 plus. That makes for such an amazing experience. I mean, we're excited for Legends, which is coming up in just 3 weeks. This will be a preview again to what we're going to see at the games next year, but with a lot more of CrossFit support next year. 40 athletes in a division makes it such a much more interesting competition. And for you and me, I think we'll be less worried about qualifying for the games. It's not going to be as stressful. There's still going to be that high level of we want to do well. We want to make sure we punch our ticket to the games and go. But with 40, we've got we don't have to thread the needle so tightly as we did with the top 10, which was ridiculous from a pressure standpoint. But then we get to go out there.
You're saying that from your position.
Yeah.
I'm saying that another age older, and that 10 per field was becoming almost unattainable. And I'm not trying to downplay it, but you can count on your one hand, some automatics.
Right.
They'd have to be hurt not to qualify.
Yeah.
And with a larger field, then that takes, and video review. Don't forget about video review. That's going to jumble a whole lot of spots, especially I would say from spots 20 through 40 on the board. It's going to look like you're going to hit refresh 100 times in a couple of hours just watching it all sort itself out.
And yeah,
But yes, it does take some pressure off. I think it's going to resurrect a lot of careers
yeah,
if they so choose.
And you're right. I think you and I often before a podcast this year, we'd be thinking about, okay, semifinals is coming up. Who are the shoo-ins? And you and I will just list off the names of the individuals in your age group and my age group. Like, I hope I can get it. I mean, even for me, I accidentally won both of them this year, but I never felt safe. I know all the guys, and I'm like, this guy's good, this guy's good. There's 10 guys that could all strike it out of the park, and I'm not going to the games in 2023. So you just never know. And you've been there. I think a lot of our listeners have been there, and now knowing we've got this larger window to get to the games, it creates some excitement, I'm sure, for some of those out there, including me, including you. It creates that fire. Like, hey, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm healthy, I'm well trained. I'm going to get my butt to the games in 2024, and I'm not taking any years for granted. If 2024 is the last year it ever exists, I'm going to be there. It's not. It'll keep going. But just as an example, we're going to get there.
It'll keep going. Yeah, it's in good hands.
Yeah.
And I need to get stronger. I'll tell you that, because here's the other thing I picked up is it sounds like the Open and quarterfinals, the programming is going to be by Boz and his team. Oversight from Dave, you know how that all goes. When you get to semifinals, I picked up on his comment that he said it's going to be much more collaborative in programming semifinals between the CrossFit team and then the teams that are hosting their events. So Team Pit Throwdown folks will be working with Boz and his team for the teenagers semifinals. And obviously Bob and Joe will be working with Boz and his team for the Masters semifinals. And we know they like what they like to do generally by now. So
they like it heavy.
I need to get a lot stronger.
Yes, it's time. It's time, right? It's time to start eating all the food and lifting heavy things after Legends.
Time right now.
But yeah.
So the collaborative programming is a nice switch as well.
Yes.
I think that's a good twist. We'll see how that turns out.
I agree. And I think that will help create that cohesive experience between semifinals and the games, that there could be some, there's a flow to that you're not, you should be ready to compete at the games because you completed these tests at quarterfinal or semifinal. What we don't ever want to see, and you can't control this completely, is you don't want to see somebody qualifying for the games who can't do something that they should be able to do, right? Because it wasn't tested in the Open quarterfinals, semifinals. They get to the games, they can't do something. So hopefully there would be some nice,
just say ring muscle up. That was for years. That was the thing.
And so maybe this never tested. But I think that given the fact that we'll be tested, and we have had this for the last 2 or 3 years, right? We've had all of the Open, all of quarterfinals, all of semifinals. That is a lot of individual events. Let's call it 3 plus maybe 13 to 15 events, given the Open, quarterfinals, semifinals, somewhere in that range, where you could test, everything except for running. Everything except for actually running, because shuttle sprints are not running. That is not running. That is labored movement. That's all I call that.
It's back and forth.
Yeah.
That like odd objects outside of fitness in a box testing.
Yes.
If you look at fitness in a box for those 13 to 15 events, if you're going to ballpark that number, there's a lot you can touch there.
Yep.
So then you figure, okay, what we haven't is what you usually expect at one of the end of the year championships. So be ready for a lot of, and not depending on the venue. We don't even know the venue this year. That's the other thing. Yep. The natural terrain around the venue could play a big part in the programming.
Right. Like, let's call it Arizona.
They can open it up to all kinds of stuff.
If it was Arizona again, I mean, Arizona in August. If it was in August and it was in Arizona, that could be interesting. I mean, it's in Dallas in August for the individuals. So, maybe they do that. Maybe it's
stay inside.
Maybe it's somewhere more nicer than that. But I can't wait to find out those details. It's not going to change a thing. I'm going, you're going, or we're going to try to go if we can. But it will be nice to know those additional details. Hopefully they have that by the time Legends happens. That'd be a fun timeline to, they've got it locked in by Legends or by the time the rule book is released. But if they don't, I'm sure they're going to figure it out. I don't think they're lollygagging. In fact, I did have a conversation with Bob, who is one of the co-founders of Legends. This was very near to the time the announcement happened. And he shared just some thoughts with me about what they were aiming for with regards to location. and they were in a very, very active search. There was nothing, they weren't delaying for any reason. It's just that they were in an active search to try to find the perfect venue. And it was the idea that you don't want a venue so large that it feels, if you do it at, and now I live in Alabama, and the Alabama football team has a stadium with 110,000 seats. In Tuscaloosa, it would not make sense to do a Masters championship in a stadium with 100,000 seats. So they want to find the right spot that doesn't have 100,000 seats, but also is not in a gymnasium where no one with temporary stands. Right? They try to find that right spot that's a good.
Yeah, seating's limited, and they pull in metal bleachers. That doesn't work either.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So they're on it, and I'm excited.
Well, and the worst thing they can do is release. If they release a date, a place and a date, and then the contracts fall through. They've talked about that in the past.
Yes,
that's as bad as the rumors of were they coming to were the games coming to?
Yeah, they were coming.
Birmingham?
They were coming to Birmingham, which is why I live here now.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. That's not why.
That was the rumor. Yeah, see, no,
I jumped the gun.
That rumor right there, and think about how much we talked about it.
Yeah,
everybody talked about it at that point in time. So I think they learned their lesson. They're going to be strategic, and I don't get the sense they're dragging their feet. They're just working up to the last minute until it's set in stone.
Very much.
That is the timeline in a nutshell, and you can bet we're going to go over each individual part many, many more times.
Many times. Well, it's fun to talk about it now. It's fun to speculate. I love it, but I think we've beat it to death. So let's move on. The only other piece of news that I got this week, and I'll just share this. It's really off the cuff, but there was a video that went out, and there was some rumors that went out about CrossFit considering a franchise model as opposed to the affiliate model. And Castro squashed that idea in his week in review. I think I watched it last night. He said, we are not looking at a franchise model. That's nothing. It's never come up. We're not looking at it.
Right.
They probably
third party. They didn't vet the questions, I guess. Well,
yeah.
That's the only thing on them.
That's fair. And and I don't want to get into that. I just figured it just doesn't sound like CrossFit, but it is a new CrossFit. Who knows? I'm not an affiliate owner now, so it doesn't affect me as much, but it just didn't feel like the right kind of vibe that CrossFit would do. So it's just not. That's, according to Castro, it's not happening. Besides that, what we do have is some listener questions. Funny enough, I threw out this listener questions an hour before we started the show, and I thought, it's always fun to just see.
So we apologize to others
next time. It was literally an hour before the show. So those of you that have sent questions since we started the show, sorry, we'll save those for next time. But I think we decided that there were 3 questions that we thought had some value to them, at least in the context of our conversation. So first question. The specific question is, Jason, do you follow Boulder Athlete programming exactly as is, or do you incorporate other programs? And so I think we could open that up to, Rick and Jason. Do you follow the program that you follow specifically, or do you modify and pull in from other programs to be the fit, human being that you are? And Rick, I'll let you start first. I know my answer, but I'm actually curious to know what you do.
Sure. I would say, I hate putting percentages on it. 9 out of 10 times, 90%, 95% of the time, I do what is absolutely written on there. And the only time, this just came up, the only time I'll go off the board is if I know my schedule a week in advance and I know where I'll have some gaps in training, the programming hasn't been released yet, and I have a day that I'm training that I need to train, I'll add something in. And I've been at it long enough where I kind of know what I haven't touched in a while, what piques my interest, what gets me to say, okay, I just want to go do something fun or different or whatever. But really, that's the only time, because our coach, the programmers that I follow, they're investing in an intelligent plan. So I owe it to them to follow what they say and do it in the order that they say it, because it's done for a reason. But every now and then I'll go off the board. Absolutely. But I'm not, and I want to differentiate with you. I'm not looking at the programming and saying, it says back squatting today. Well, I think I want a front squat. Or snatching. No, my shoulder hurts. I'm going to clean and jerk today. I don't do that. I'll work around things if I'm working around an injury or something, but I don't wholesale change what is written.
Right. I think for me,
It's a
the
long way
interesting
of
thought is
you know.
since I program Boulder Athlete and I follow Boulder Athlete programming,
Yeah,
I'll answer
yeah.
that as in general, in the programs I followed in the past, I followed them to the T
Mm-hmm.
as much as possible. Again, modifying if there was a tweak or, I hurt my back last year heading into Legends, so I had to tweak some things so as to not over agitate that. But besides that, whatever it says, that's what I'm doing for my training. And
Good.
as a programmer now, as I program Boulder Athlete, I program well in advance. So that, just as we're releasing workouts out to the public, there's just a nice rhythm and a flow to that. We've got some buffer, some time. And whatever Boulder Athletes are doing on a Tuesday, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not doing the programming a week in advance. I'm doing exactly what athletes are doing today. Today is a Tuesday, for example. And you said something like you trust the process. You trust that what is in there is what the programmers want you to do. And I actually have to approach that myself, knowing that there's two sides to me. There's the programmer side that's doing the work behind the computer screen and planning out the day, the week, the cycle. And then there's the athlete in me that actually walks into the gym on a Tuesday morning, and I see another athlete who's writing down the Boulder programming for that. I'm like, hey, what are we doing today? Because I don't know. I don't remember 3 weeks ago what I programmed specifically today.
What you did.
Yeah. They'll say, today we're doing the wall balls, bike, and pistols. I'm like, oh, that's right. I remember. Okay, this is going to be fun. I
remember putting that together.
Here's why. Oh, and since we're doing that this week, here's what we're doing next week based on that. So it triggers all of these. Oh, yeah, this is where I was at and what I was thinking. But I think that one of the reasons that you follow a program is so that you don't have to do the thinking. You just get to the gym at 6 a.m. or 5:30, whenever you get there, at 10 a.m. when I get there, and you write it down and you follow instructions. It's done for you so that you don't have to think about, am I getting enough shoulder work in? Am I doing enough ring muscle ups? Did I snatch this week? Have I done enough back squats, front squats? All of that work is done by the programmers so that you can just come in and efficiently, as a Masters athlete, just get the work done, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that you might not remember.
I don't
each
at
day
all.
until you open up your app.
I have to open. I have to open up the app. What was I doing? Oh, did I say back squats? Oh yeah. Okay. No. So we actually did a workout yesterday, which is really funny. Because if I would have written it, I would have thought I made a mistake. So what we actually tested yesterday, and I copied it straight from the CrossFit Games website. We tested the games interval workout. Do you remember it was 21 box jump overs into a 15-calorie row into box get overs? And it was this whole interval, and then you rest to the 6-minute mark, and then do an interval back through all of those elements. And in my mind, it was the same
9,
forwards
15,
and backwards.
21, 15, 9, something like that.
But it was actually slightly different. You ended with burpee box get overs at the end. And anyway, as I was writing down the workout, I wrote it down, and I didn't even think about it until I was finishing the workout, and I was like, is it 21 burpee box get overs to finish? This makes no sense as far as the flow and the rhythm and the balance and the artistry of a well-written workout. It didn't feel like that, because it shouldn't be. It should just be box get overs, not burpee box get overs. So I had to look at my whiteboard. I looked at my buddy Josh's whiteboard, and then I went and opened the app just to make sure I was doing the right workout. And it was. This was the interval workout. So even knowing the diligence that I put into it, I was still in the middle of this workout questioning, why are we doing 21 burpee box get overs? You were skeptical. Yeah, I was skeptical. But I actually didn't write it. It was a CrossFit Games workout.
How
and it
tired
was
I when I was writing?
It was a bear, man. I tell you what.
Is that the one that Pat Vellner won?
I think he did. I think
did he win that event?
Lawson won it, and I think he won it. That was part of Vellner's charge towards the end there. But yeah,
man, that looked awful watching it.
It was, and actually seeing how fast they got through it.
You didn't have that much rest.
No, there was no rest. In fact, I will say that the first interval took me over 5 minutes, and you were supposed to start the second interval at the 6-minute mark. So I gave myself a full minute of rest. I called an audible, gave myself a full minute of rest so that I could attack the second part. Attack is in air quotes if you can't see me. Attack the second part,
fair.
Which is pure awfulness. So yeah, I think
so I could stumble through the second part.
Yeah, I think the advice that you and I are giving is trust the process. That if you're following a program that you trust, you shouldn't need to add other stuff or incorporate anything else. Like I'm not incorporating some sort of endurance training into my training. My training has endurance training built into it. I'm sure yours does too. It's a well-rounded program, will make you well prepared for the tests that are coming. Second question. I'm just going to use this question. Ian, coach, it's a friend of mine, and he asked me, have I done any hill sprints yet at my new house? And he's asking that because he's a funny guy. He's really funny, Ian. Hill sprints at my house.
Can't wait to meet him.
My house, it's probably 300 yards, maybe 200 yards from the street to the house, but it's straight up a hill. We live on top of a mountain, essentially. So it was actually very scary to pull this moving truck up the hill because it's a 15% grade at one point on the hill. I mean, it's exhausting to walk up and down this hill. So no, Ian, I'll just answer this, Rick. Ian, I have not done sprints at the new house yet, but you are invited, Ian, to come on out. And as soon as you come and visit, we'll do a day of hill sprints with weight vests into GHD sit-ups in the garage. We'll do something and it'll be great. Yeah. The next question, and I think this will be our last question, actually, is can an average Joe get to the CrossFit Games? Is that the fair question, Rick? Should we tackle that one real quick?
Yep. Looking at it right now. All right. Can an average Joe get to the CrossFit Games?
Well, I think our blanket answer to start with is you're looking at a couple of average Joes. We're average Joe human beings.
Absolutely. Yep.
But talk more about your experience there.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. Whoever asked that question, because no, I didn't come from some outstanding athletic career, needed to take some time off and had to scratch a competition itch and found CrossFit. No, it's something that I had led a relatively sedentary lifestyle in my 20s and 30s, trying to work out when I could, not knowing exactly what I was doing and not doing a whole hell of a lot, into something that I have worked towards. So 100% yes. I'm envious of those folks who can move from one high level athletic career almost immediately into the next, and the only thing that holds them back is learning the intricacies of CrossFit, I guess is the way to describe it. But for me, who was not doing a whole lot, having to learn the intricacies of it. So yes, hey, average Joe here, raising my hand.
I will say the same thing. I was sedentary in my 20s and 30s, just like you, trying to do some things. I would go to the gym and do some things every once in a while, and a couple of days, and then I would not go for weeks at a time, and jogged sometimes. I don't come from an athletic family. I don't have any Olympians in my family or any real athletic heroes. I just happened to find something that I really liked. And then I think you and I both drank the Kool-Aid and became quite a bit all in on like, okay, I love this. Oh, when we get to compete. Oh, wow. And we get to possibly qualify for a world championship. What do I got to sign me up? What do I got to do to attempt to do that? And to a couple of average Joes here that both have gone to the games. And again, Rick Stevenson tied for first in his rookie year. You don't get to say it enough. It is a second place medal, but a tied for first. I'll say it. In fact, in our future episodes, I'm going to introduce you as Rick Stevenson, the tied for first, Mr. Tied for first, but second place via tiebreak, world champion in 2021.
Yep.
Okay, so
because Sean had an outstanding Sunday.
He had a good Sunday.
Outstanding Saturday, excuse me.
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah,
he had a really good final day.
Doggone it.
Hats off to Sean.
Well, there was one question. Same person asked a question, how to get in shape with a 9 to 5. And we just wanted to mention, we did cover that in episode, it was 3 weeks ago. It was actually episode 39 of the Masters of Motion podcast. So go back and take a listen to that, where essentially I interview Rick about his experience having a 9 to 5 and a family and being an athlete, a world-class athlete. So it's really fun. It's informative to see how Rick balances all of that. I think he mentions in there that he eats salad for lunch. So just don't listen to that part. The rest of it is really great. It's really great.
Yeah. Yes. What I need to do is continue to send you pictures of my salad.
As you should.
I failed today. Had another big one. I didn't.
You send pictures of salad. I'll send pictures of my hamburgers, which are going to be
ground beef.
Ground beef for dinner coming up quick here. Well, Rick, as we wrap up, I didn't talk to you about this beforehand. Did you by any chance have a pick or tip of the week this week?
I do, only because I haven't used it yet. No, I mean, I've used it. I haven't had a chance to say this, and I think I mentioned it last week. Last week was only 2 weeks into myself using Third Z.
Yes.
I'm not a sponsored athlete or anything like that. I used a code, and here it is in the house. It's 3 weeks in now, and your PM Recovery Collagen. I'm really liking the results. It really puts me in a much deeper sleep. In fact, if I'm not taking Dr. Justine's advice and I'm not as consistent on my time of sleep, I'll wake up even feeling a little groggy from it.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is restful.
Yep.
It knocks me out.
That's great.
But she's got the science behind it. So I'd encourage you to listen to last week's again if you want to learn more. But yes, I'll use that as my tip of the week because it's only 3 weeks into the household here. And I keep it safely tucked away so nobody gets the thoughts of trying to steal Dad's recovery.
I'll say that I have
so it's hidden.
I have a tip of the week and a pick of the week. The tip of the week is one of the things that I've done consistently, along with a cold plunge in the mornings, is I've tried to get sunlight in my eyes every morning. And by sunlight in my eyes, it doesn't mean I'm looking into the sun. It just means that I am outside, or I'm in sunlight, or even cloud light. So it's harder in the winter, much harder in the winter to do this. And so, in fact, we've had a couple of cold mornings. So I've actually been sitting just inside of a window, which is not as perfect, but I'm trying to get that dose of light in my eyes, which really helps your sleep cycle. Again, we talked about this last week, actually, that more sun during the day, especially when you wake up, can really help your circadian rhythm so that you sleep well at night. So that is a tip of the week, is if you can get into the sun or into the cloud. So it's like, I think Dr. Huberman, it's like 10 minutes in the sun or even 20 minutes in the clouds, or just in a cloudy sky. Just get outside, get that light in your eyes.
My head's always in the clouds.
Always in the clouds. My pick of the week is actually to be determined. It's coming. Today's Tuesday. Wednesday, tomorrow, I'll be sending out, if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, or if you don't get that, you could go to the newsletter is at jasongrubb.com/deals. And you can sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to send out an email tomorrow with all of the Black Friday deals that I know of from all of the companies that I use. Some of them sponsor me. Most of them don't. It's just I've been collecting all of the Black Friday deals that have caught my attention around the CrossFit space, from grips to bags to, of course, the ice barrel, which again is a sponsor. But I'll share all of that because there's some really big sales out there, and there's just it's a good time of year to take advantage of that. Like, I've actually been waiting for some of the purchases I need for my garage and for this house for Black Friday and Cyber Monday so that I can save a couple dollars. So I'll send an email out tomorrow. Watch for that.
Good call.
With all the deals that I've been able to curate, and I'm sure there's more out there, but I'm going to try to be as detailed as I can. So it's good stuff.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Know what
Rick.
I can find.
I'll get you spending money.
Oh, great!
All right,
here we go.
Well, we'll see you next week on the podcast, Rick. And for our audience, we want to just thank you for tuning into the Masters in Motion podcast. Happy Thanksgiving as well. And if you found this episode to be helpful, we'd be grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast app. There's a lot of reviews out there already, and we appreciate all of those. Your support helps us reach more listeners and grow our Masters community. Until next time, get bolder, not older. See ya.